There is a brown bottle sitting in your bathroom cabinet right now that costs about $1, and the lawn care industry is quietly hoping you never figure out what it can do outside. You know hydrogen peroxide as the fizzy stuff you dab on a scraped knee. But that same little bottle has a handful of legitimate, science-backed uses in your yard that can save you money on products and services landscapers love to charge for. Now, I am going to be straight with you the whole way through. The internet is absolutely flooded with hydrogen peroxide miracle claims, and a lot of them are pure nonsense. So I dug into the actual research, and I'm only giving you the stuff that holds up. Grab that brown bottle and let us get into it. Number 1, disinfect your tools and stop spreading lawn disease. Here's something the guy mowing your lawn for $40 a visit isn't going to tell you. His equipment might be the reason your grass keeps getting sick. Pruning shears, mower blades, and edgers all touch plant after plant. If a tool nicks something infected with a fungal disease, it can carry spores straight to the next healthy patch. It is the same idea as a doctor washing their hands between patients. Professionals know this, which is exactly why they are supposed to sanitize between jobs. A lot of them don't. Hydrogen peroxide is a genuine disinfectant. When it touches bacteria or fungi, it kills them. That is not marketing. That is chemistry. The extra oxygen atom that makes peroxide different from plain water is unstable, and when it breaks loose, it oxidizes and destroys microbial cells. So before you prune, before you mow a lawn you suspect has a fungal problem, wipe your blades down with 3% hydrogen peroxide. That is the standard concentration you buy at the drugstore. One important tip: clean the dirt and plant gunk off the metal first. Peroxide reacts with organic matter and burns itself out fast. So if your blades are caked in grass clippings, the peroxide gets used up on the gunk before it ever reaches the germs. Wipe it clean, then disinfect. It is about the cheapest insurance policy your lawn will ever get. Number 2, spot treat fungal lawn diseases. Walk into any garden center with brown patches in your lawn and you'll walk out $50 lighter holding a bottle of branded fungicide. But for certain fungal problems, that humble brown bottle can do real work, and this is where the science actually backs it up. Hydrogen peroxide is a fungicide. It kills fungal organisms on contact, full stop. In one controlled study, researchers sprayed hydrogen peroxide on greenhouse cucumber plants to fight powdery mildew, that white powdery coating you've probably seen on squash and other plants. A very dilute solution knocked the infection rate down dramatically, from around 90% of plants affected to roughly 12%. But this is the part the clickbait videos skip. There are 2 huge catches. First, timing. In that study, the plants were sprayed early, before the disease really took hold. Peroxide works far better as a preventive than as a rescue once a fungus is already established. Second, concentration. In the very same study, a stronger solution damaged the plants. This stuff is toxic to plant tissue if you overdo it. So here's how to do it without torching your grass. Dilute it way down. Use approximately 1 tablespoon of 3% peroxide per cup of water and test it on a small out-of-the-way patch first. Wait a day or 2 and make sure the grass is not reacting badly before you treat a bigger area. Mix it fresh and use it right away because peroxide degrades the second it hits light and air. Used carefully, it's a real tool. Used carelessly, it's an expensive way to make brown spots worse. Number 3, clean moss, algae, and mildew off your patio and deck. Every spring, the same thing happens. The patio goes green and slick. The deck boards get that grimy black film, and suddenly the power washing company is texting you a quote. Hold off on that. Algae, moss, and mildew are exactly the kinds of organisms hydrogen peroxide is built to destroy. That oxidizing action that kills germs on your tools, it chews right through the green slime on your hardscapes too. Spray it on, give it a little time to bubble and work, and then scrub or rinse it away. And here's the part that makes it genuinely smart rather than just cheap. Think about where that runoff goes. Bleach is the go-to for a lot of people, but bleach runoff can scorch the grass and plants around your patio and is not great for the soil. Hydrogen peroxide breaks down into nothing but water and oxygen. There is no toxic residue left behind to leach into your lawn or your flower beds. So you get a clean deck without poisoning the green stuff growing right next to it. For tougher buildup, you can use the 3% straight from the bottle on the stained area. Just keep in mind, it has a mild bleaching effect, so if you have colored or delicate surfaces, test a hidden corner first. For a regular maintenance clean, this beats paying someone with a pressure washer every single season. Number 4, help stubborn seeds finally sprout. If you've ever overseeded a bare patch and watched it just sit there doing nothing for weeks, this one's going to interest you. But I need you to listen closely, because this is the area where the internet tells the biggest lies. The real science is this. A soak in dilute hydrogen peroxide has been shown to speed up germination for certain slow, stubborn seeds. In one study, treating Atlantic white cedar seeds with peroxide nearly doubled how many of them germinated. Peroxide actually plays a natural role inside seeds during sprouting, so adding a bit in the right dose can nudge that process along. Now here's the truth, the soak all your seeds crowd won't tell you. It does not work for every seed, and that includes some lawn favorites. Research on Kentucky bluegrass, one of the most popular cool season turf grasses in America, found that a peroxide soak did not improve its germination at all. And on top of that, too much peroxide does the opposite of helping. In lettuce seed trials, concentrations over 1% actually reduced how many seeds sprouted and stunted the little roots. So the honest takeaway is this. Peroxide can be a real helper for slow germinating wildflowers, clover, or other tricky seeds. But it is not a universal magic trick, and the common turf grasses may not respond at all. If you want to experiment, soak the seeds in a dilute 3% solution for around 30 minutes, rinse them well, and critically, try it on a test batch alongside untreated seeds so you can actually see if it made a difference. That little experiment costs you pennies and tells you the truth for your specific seed. Number 5. Give waterlogged, soggy spots a fighting chance. We've all got that one corner of the yard. It never quite dries out, the grass there is thin and yellow, and after a good rain it turns into a swamp. That soggy spot is a perfect breeding ground for root rot. And there is some real logic behind using peroxide on it, as long as you understand what is actually happening. Root rot is largely caused by water molds and fungi that thrive in low oxygen, waterlogged soil. When the ground stays saturated, water fills up all the little air pockets that roots need to breathe. The roots start to suffocate, and those rot organisms move in and take over. The theory behind peroxide is that the extra oxygen it releases helps in that oxygen-starved environment, and the peroxide itself is antifungal. But I have to be honest with you about the limits here, because this is where a lot of videos oversell it. The core problem in a soggy spot is too much water, and a peroxide solution is by volume almost entirely water. Pouring more liquid onto a drainage problem is not a real fix. The oxygen peroxide releases also vanishes within minutes as it reacts with the soil. So think of peroxide here as a short-term assist, not a cure. The actual solution is to address why that spot stays wet in the first place, improve the drainage, break up compaction, and stop overwatering. Let it dry out and give the grass a chance to recover on its own. A dilute peroxide drench can be part of your toolkit for a struggling, soggy patch. Just do not believe anyone who tells you it replaces fixing the drainage. Number 6. Knock down fungus gnats and soft-bodied soil pests. If you start your grass seed or bedding plants in trays, you've probably met fungus gnats, those tiny annoying flies that hover over damp soil. Their larvae live down in the wet dirt and can chew on tender young roots. Peroxide is a popular weapon against them, and there is a sensible mechanism behind it. When you drench infested soil with a dilute peroxide solution, the fizzing reaction does two things. The oxidizing action can kill soft-bodied larvae and eggs it directly contacts, and the disturbance tends to drive bugs up toward the surface where you can deal with them. Gardeners have reported good results using something like 1 part 3% peroxide to several parts water, drenching the soil when they see the problem. I'll level with you on the science. This one rests more on real-world gardener experience than on a stack of formal studies. And peroxide is not some long-lasting repellent. Once it has been on the soil a few minutes, it breaks down into water and it is not doing anything anymore. So it's a contact treatment. It works on what it touches in the moment. You'll likely need to repeat it, and you absolutely have to fix the root cause, which is almost always soil that is staying too wet. Fungus gnats love constantly damp soil. Let the top layer dry out between waterings and you take away their nursery. The peroxide handles the current invaders. Drier soil prevents the next generation. Number 7. Spot kill weeds and moss in cracks and crevices. Those weeds shoving up through the cracks in your driveway, the moss creeping across the shady walkway, there is a peroxide trick for those too. But this is the one I want you to be the most careful with. So stay with me. At higher concentrations, hydrogen peroxide acts as a contact killer for plants. It will burn back the foliage of weeds and wipe out moss it is applied to. The reason it works is the same oxidizing power we have been talking about. At strong enough doses, it damages plant tissue directly. Here is the catch, and it is a big one. The everyday 3% bottle is too weak to reliably kill established weeds. To actually torch them, you are looking at concentrations around 10%, which is stronger than the standard consumer product. And at that strength, this stuff is no joke. It is harsh on skin, and the fumes from stronger peroxide can irritate your lungs. So gloves, eye protection, and good ventilation are non-negotiable. The other limitation is this: peroxide is completely non-selective. It does not know the difference between a weed and your prized grass. It will damage anything green it lands on, and it kills what it touches, which usually means the leaves, not necessarily the deep roots of a tough perennial weed. So this is strictly for spots where you want nothing growing at all, like cracks in concrete, gaps between pavers, that kind of thing. Never spray it across a lawn hoping to kill weeds and spare the grass, because it will take out both. When used as a careful, targeted spot treatment in hardscape cracks, though, it is a legitimate tool that skips the harsh commercial weed killers. Number 8. Trigger your plant's own natural defenses. This one is the closest thing to a genuine secret on this list because most people, including plenty of pros, have no idea it's even a thing. It turns out hydrogen peroxide isn't just a foreign chemical we dump on plants. Plants make it themselves. Inside a healthy plant, tiny amounts of hydrogen peroxide act like a built-in alarm system. The plant produces it to help regulate its internal functions, and fascinatingly, to signal danger. When a plant senses an attack, peroxide is part of the chemical chain that tells it to ramp up its own defenses. Researchers have found that a peroxide treatment can actually prompt a plant to switch on its natural protections, and in one study on pepper plants, a peroxide spray helped induce the plant to defend itself against a virus. Think about how different that is from everything else on this list. Instead of using peroxide as a weapon to kill a pest or a fungus directly, you're using a tiny, gentle dose as a wake-up call, nudging the plant to protect itself the way nature designed it to. Now, the honest disclaimer: This is cutting-edge stuff, and scientists are still mapping out exactly how it works, which plants respond, and at what doses. It's not a precise do this exact thing home recipe yet, but it's a real documented phenomenon, and it's a perfect example of how this dollar bottle is hiding genuine biology that the lawn care industry has zero interest in explaining to you. Number 9. Sanitize your seed trays, pots, and pruning cuts. We started this list with disinfecting your tools, and we are going to close it with the other half of that idea, because keeping disease out is just as valuable as treating it later, and it is something the pros quietly rely on. If you reuse seed starting trays and pots year after year, and you should because it saves money and plastic, you are also potentially reusing whatever fungus or bacteria lived in them last season. Damping off that heartbreaking disease where healthy little seedlings suddenly flop over and die often comes from contaminated containers and constantly wet conditions. A rinse with hydrogen peroxide kills the microbes hiding in those old pots before you plant into them again. The same goes for the surfaces where you start your seeds. It also works on fresh cuts. When you prune a shrub, a tree limb, or trim back a plant, you have opened a wound that disease can sneak into. A dab of peroxide on your pruning tool between cuts helps keep you from carrying infection from one cut to the next. Remember to clean off the sap and debris first so the peroxide is not wasted. One reality check to keep you honest: do not try to sterilize your actual garden soil or your whole lawn with this. The moment treated soil is exposed to air, plants, and your shoes, microbes move right back in, and many of those microbes are the good guys your plants actually need. Peroxide shines on hard surfaces, tools, and containers, not on trying to nuke an entire yard. Use it where it works, and skip the fantasy of a sterile lawn. So there you have it. A dollar bottle from your medicine cabinet quietly does the work of products and services that cost a whole lot more. The trick is knowing where it genuinely works and, just as importantly, ignoring the wild claims that do not hold up. Used at the right strength and in the right place, hydrogen peroxide earns its spot in your garden shed. If this gave you something useful, do me a favor and hit that like button and share it with a friend whose lawn could use the help. Want more no-nonsense yard tips that actually work? Subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss a video. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.